And before you start watching, subscribe to the channel. Help me get 3,000 subscribers. Have fun. By the mistake of a god, a young man named Kelvin dies and agrees to be reincarnated into a new world with skills he chooses himself in exchange for all memories except his name taken. Awakening in the new world, he finds he chooses to be a summoner mage, and the goddess of reincarnation, Melfina, is now his servant in the form of an interactive game menu. Arriving in the town of Parth, he joins the Adventurers Guild as a basic mage, keeping his summoner skill secret. As Melfina explains, summoners are so rare and powerful, kings and nations would start wars to acquire him. He takes a job to slay slime monsters, which leads to taming a slime and naming it Clotho, which also gives it a distinct personality. He learns from Melfina before reincarnating he made his summoner class rank S, the highest possible, making him the most powerful living summoner. And as he is still only level 1, he will become even more powerful as his level increases. His skill also provides a massive boost to his summons, as Clotho is now 100 times stronger. Returning to Parth, he is disturbed to find slavery is common in this world, but tries not to think about it and instead rents a room for the night. Kelvin is quickly promoted to E rank. D rank adventurer Cashel, who seeks to humiliate Kelvin, advises him to hunt a monster known as a Black Ghost Knight. With his appraisal skill, Kelvin sees Cashel is titled as a murderer, so instead of joining him, he suggests a contest, Kelvin against Cashel's entire party. Cashel and his criminal party members, Gimul and Raj, to murder Kelvin. Kelvin captures Raj while Gimul is captured by Clotho, who is now evolved into a slime Glatonia, an almost demon lord class monster. Cashel is easily beaten up by Kelvin and confesses to hunting low-rank adventurers for experience, so they are arrested. Kelvin locates the Black Ghost Knight, who already has a personality and a name, Gerard. Gerard is able to explain he was once a human knight, became a monster after he died. After a short duel to gauge each other's strength, Gerard abruptly remembers the kingdom he once served, Alcarl, was destroyed by an elf named Gildora when Alcarl would not help the Lizea Empire destroy the Holy Empire of Daramus. This also caused the death of Gerard's wife and daughter, Betty and Connie, the pain of which kept him tied to the world after he died. The next day, Kelvin supplies a piece of Gerard's armor as proof he completed the job, and combined with Cashel's bounty, is promoted directly to B rank. Gerard joins Clotho and Melfina as Kelvin's newest monster. Kelvin meets Guildmaster Leo, who asks if Kelvin came from another world, showing his appraisal skill is more powerful than Kelvin's concealment skill, so he can see he is a summoner. Leo admits he knew Cashel was a murderer, but as Cashel was a foreign noble, he needed proof, so he is grateful to Kelvin. He also reveals other reincarnations were summoned as the current heroes of the Daramus Empire to face a demon lord, so Leo wants Kelvin to instead focus on the monsters who become more powerful due to the demon lord's influence. Kelvin agrees and decides to purchase a female slave to train and add her to his team. He seeks out the slave he saw on his first day, a beautiful half-elf named Eiffel, who so far has not been sold due to a curse she has that burns those she touches. Purchasing her, he breaks her curse, allowing her to touch people for the first time. Returning to his lodgings, Eiffel is taken under the wing of Claire, his landlady, while Kelvin shows her how to use her previously unspent skill points. Kelvin is unable to sleep at night as he is forced to share his bed with Eiffel. Eiffel becomes a deadly archer and gains an affinity for fire due to her previous curse. She also befriends Angie, a guild secretary. Tabura, third prince of Trison, arrogantly confronts and attempts to grab Angie and Eiffel, so Kelvin beats up his guards. Tabura admits he came to Parth to hire a rumored strong adventurer to boost his poor reputation, but Kelvin reveals he is the adventurer and refuses Tabura's offer. Melfina visits the Cathedral of Daramus to impart a prophecy to Oracle Colette, ordering the heroes deal with a threat in the west and to stay away from Parth. Eiffel tells Kelvin she has fallen in love with him, but Kelvin resists his desire as she is still a slave, and he feels he would be taking advantage. Melfina informs Kelvin the 4 heroes are weaker than she was expecting, as Kelvin has almost surpassed them. Leo sends Kelvin to deal with a demon sealed in a cave. Kelvin finds 2 demons, the archdemon Victor, guarding a demon girl named Sarah, daughter to the most recently defeated demon lord Gustav. Victor hopes by eating Kelvin he will gain the human ability to break the seal keeping Sarah trapped. He will then eat Sarah and become the next demon lord himself. Kelvin begins smiling, and Melfina and Gerard reveal to Eiffel. Kelvin has an unfortunate habit. He is a total battle junkie. The more powerful his opponents, the more excited he becomes. Victor attacks, but is weakened by Clotho draining his magic, and his arms are destroyed by Eiffel's arrows and Gerard's sword. Victor assumes his full demonic form, but against their teamwork, he is still defeated. A stone pillar almost falls on Sarah, until Victor saves her. Victor admits he was never going to eat Sarah. In reality, Victor once trained and took care of Sarah when she was young and was assigned to guard her by her father Gustav. Before he was defeated by the hero, Gustav cast a spell on Sarah, sealing her away so only a human could unseal her, and Victor has guarded her ever since. As his dying request, Victor asks Kelvin to add Sarah to his party so she can finally see the world. Kelvin agrees and Victor dies peacefully. Despite the risk she will become the next Demon King, Kelvin frees Sarah and conceals her demon traits. Gerard evolves into an abyssal knight commander. Kelvin reports to Leo and is promoted to rank A for defeating Victor. Angie organizes a celebration on Kelvin's promotion. After everyone passes out drunk, Kelvin finds Sarah mourning for Victor, who was her only childhood companion. She decides to experience the entire world in Victor's memory, in particular to see the ocean and learn to swim like Victor once promised her. Having tamed Sarah, Kelvin crafts her armor from Victor's armor and also a new sword, Dainsleif, for Gerard. Kelvin has a sudden powerful hunger for rice, so they all travel to the water kingdom of Taraj and its capital coastal city, where rice can be found and Sarah can swim in the ocean. Melfina disappears again, claiming she hopes to possess one of her avatars and finally appear in the physical world. Gerard privately suspects Melfina is jealous Kelvin has two other ladies in his party. On the journey, they are attacked by the bandit gang Black Wind, who want Sarah and Ephil for the slave trade. Sarah enjoys defeating them before Kelvin interrogates them. Kelvin informs Toraj Guild leader Mist. The Black Wind's secret leader is a famous adventurer from Trison named Christoph, who is secretly involved in the illegal slave trade. For political reasons, they cannot accuse Christoph publicly until Kelvin realizes the four heroes are in town. By his suggestion, Mist formally requests the heroes look into recent kidnappings by the Black Wind. Kelvin locates and frees slaves captured by Black Wind before easily defeating Christoph and his lieutenants. The heroes eventually catch up, but believe Christoph is another adventurer sent to free the slaves, and find Kelvin and his team pretending to be the true leaders of Black Wind. Kelvin finally meets the heroes, sword wielders Tuya and Setsuna, and mages Nana and Miyabi. Kelvin challenges them to a fight against him, with the losing side having to obey one order from the winner. Beginning the duel, Kelvin reveals his new equipment, Skill Eater, which are gloves absorbing other people's unique skills, and allow Kelvin to use them. Having already borrowed Sarah's martial combat skill, Kelvin next steals parallel processing from Miyabi. Tuya tries to fight on his own, believing it is his job if he is to defeat the Demon Lord one day, until Setsuna slaps him for risking himself and ignoring his teammates. Tuya apologizes and they fight as a team again. Kelvin thoroughly criticizes their amateur approach and gives them hints on how to improve. The heroes succeed in trapping him in an anti-magic trap, so Kelvin uses parallel processing to invent a new spell and frees himself. All four heroes are defeated, but when they awaken, Kelvin explains he is the one who rescued the slaves and Christoph is the true criminal. The heroes realize Kelvin only fought them to measure their abilities and help them improve, and thank him. Kelvin reminds them they promised to obey one order, so he demands they strip their clothes. Kelvin changes the heroes into swim clothes and takes them to a sea cave to train against a giant octopus. Kelvin notes they almost lost to the octopus, so they stand no chance against a dungeon boss, and the Demon Lord would kill them without effort. Sarah locates a dungeon boss dragon. The heroes decide to fight it, which impresses Kelvin with their resolve, so he gives them a break and defeats the dragon himself. The heroes leave, so Kelvin gives them necklaces he enchanted himself. Kelvin is summoned by the Queen of Toraj, Tsubaki Fujiwara, and realizes from her castle architecture and her family name, one of her ancestors must have been Japanese. She thanks him for defeating Black Wind and the dragon, and is surprised when Kelvin requests only rice, so she rewards him with a lifetime supply and even teaches Ephil Japanese cuisine. Tsubaki attempts to hire Kelvin to work for her personally, but he rejects the offer. In Parth, Kelvin purchases a large house, and also hires two of the slaves he freed from Black Wind, Ellie and her daughter Luca, as household servants. Melfina returns with her avatar body, and Kelvin is able to summon her into the physical world for the first time. Melfina rewards Kelvin with her grace of resurrection, which can save him from any fatal attack once a month, and also allows him to summon a hero from Japan, but this can only be used once in his lifetime. This worries Kelvin, as it would mean forcing someone to come to this world against their will. He shares his worries with Melfina, who explains the demon lords all possesses the skill Papias, which causes insanity and makes them invulnerable to all damage. Thus, the only ones who can kill them are summoned heroes. Since they come from other worlds, their magic is fundamentally different. Kelvin still feels guilty, so Melfina tells him to only summon people who have already died, so it would feel less like kidnap and more like a second chance. Feeling better, Kelvin decides to reincarnate a hero immediately. Casting the spell, Kelvin summons a young girl named Rio, the strongest hero from all of Japan. Rio, who had been terminally ill in Japan, is grateful to be reincarnated in a healthy body and accepts Kelvin's offer to join his party so she can repay him. As she is the only other person Kelvin has seen with black hair, he decides Rio should pose as his younger half-sister. Rio also decides to change her name to Ryan. Kelvin awakens and finds Sarah, Melfina, and Ryan have all snuck into his bed. Kelvin decides for their own safety, Ryan, Ellie, and Luca should level up. So with his XP sharing skill, he increases their levels without them having to fight. He also tames a shadow wolf as a pet for Ryan, and she names Alex. Uld, another adventurer, joins them in a dungeon with his party who are slaying monsters for their promotion exam to rank B. Unfortunately, Sarah and Gerard already slew all the monsters. Kelvin learns Guildmaster Leo has put him forward for a promotion exam to rank S. Over several weeks, Ryan trains until she is a capable fighter. One night, 14 assassins enter Kelvin's lands, and Kelvin lets Ryan and Alex fight them as a test. The assassins, former teammates of Kristoff, seek revenge against Kelvin, but are all defeated by Rian while Kelvin captures their leader. Elsewhere, the Emperor of Tryson is disappointed at Kristoff's failure, as his exposure is an international embarrassment to Tryson, especially with the kingdoms of Gon, Toraj, and Daramis considering forming an alliance against them. Prince Asgrad and General Tristan vote to go to war immediately. General Dan and Princess Shutola vote to wait for better conditions in which to start a war. The tiebreak vote is left to General Clive, who is absent due to indulging his hedonistic appetite. Leo informs Kelvin Tryson has been increasing aggression against Gon Kingdom. Coincidentally, he sends Kelvin on his rank S promotion exam to complete a job for Leon Hart Gon, Beast King of Gon, by slaying a rank S monster to save an elven village. Elven Chief Nelras mistakes Eiffel for his own daughter, Lumil, but realizes his mistake. Kelvin is curious about Lumil, and Nelras explains 20 years ago, Lumil offered herself as sacrifice to save the village from a dragon. The dragon took her as his wife, but years later Lumil was found dead, and fearing the dragon's return, the elves fled to Gon. Kelvin suspects Lumil was Eiffel's mother, though her human father remains unknown, as pregnancy between the dragon and Lumil would be impossible. Nelras reveals the monster has been kidnapping elves, so Kelvin erects a stone barrier around the village. Tryson's soldiers invade with monsters somehow under their command, but are killed by Eiffel using extremely long-range archery magic. Their commander avoids capture by controlling the rank S monster, a Gigant Lord. The Gigant is defeated by Ryan and Alex, only to transform into a flaming gigant furnace. Ryan defeats it again anyway and captures the commander. General Clive appears and almost kills Eiffel, who is saved by Kelvin. Kelvin realizes Clive is strong and feels his battle junkie instincts rising. Clive tries to hypnotize Eiffel into becoming his sex slave, but Kelvin defends her. He realizes Clive is also a reincarnation with a unique hypnosis skill. Clive brags his hypnosis lets him do whatever he wants to anybody for his personal amusement. Angered by Clive's arrogance, Kelvin manages to scar his face, infuriating Clive, who summons a rank S hurricane spell. Kelvin is forced to use his most powerful magic staff, the rank S Black Disaster. He cuts through Clive's spell and severs both Clive's legs. Clive is rescued by General Tristan, who teleports them both away. The elves celebrate, but Kelvin is disappointed the fight was a draw. Tristan has Clive imprisoned and puts his own sex slaves in charge of torturing him for experimentation to see if reincarnations have any scientific value. Kelvin decides he must grow his power even further. Nelras gives Eiffel a hair ornament belonging to Lumil. An elven girl reveals she is actually a disguised Leonhardt Gon and, having seen everything, confirms Kelvin is now promoted to S rank. There will be an official promotion ceremony which includes a mock battle against existing S rank adventurers. Everyone is exasperated when the idea of fighting other S rank warriors ignites Kelvin's battle junkie instincts again.